and welcome to another one of my old vintage HiFi videos. This is a follow-up video from the bulb replacement I did earlier, and this one we're going to take the top off again, but we're going to go a bit further into it and actually undo the bottom panel as well, give it a good clean and actually do some screws up that will come loose. I've got 2 or 3 of these different models, another one of this particular one, and all the screws were loose on the speaker terminal, so yeah, definitely need to be tightened up. I would have thought, not that you're lucky and they haven't come loose, but over a period of time I think they do. So as with the other video, we're just going to undo the 2 side screws that holds the top on, take the top off, and that's the top off. But now I need to find the other notes because that's the wrong one, and here's the right notes. We need to undo these 4 screws here holding the hardboard back plate on. It's only made out of hardboard. So that's why I've got little washers on these just to give it a bit more strength, otherwise them screws will eat into the hardboard and make it quite loose. So I put, even though they're not the right colour, the washers I found, and I thought that would do. At some stage we'll get some little metal washers, make it look a bit more as it goes with it. Anyway, undo them, that cardboard thing comes out and that's off. Now we're going to undo these 4 screws here holding the input plate on. So undo them and that input plate comes off. Now we're going to undo these 4 screws here that holds the complete back plate on. All the back plate comes completely off once you undo them 4 screws. Now you can get in there amongst all the speaker terminals and input phonos and give them a good clean with cotton bud or whatever, so they're all nice and clean inside there. Now give it a good dusting and whatever, and get a bit more dusting. Any dusting there you can sweep it out with a brush. Get a bit more into the tuner now and you can sweep it out. While we're in there, we're going to spray all the pots, the volume and the tone controls, etc., and the 3 little switches, the loudness mono button and tapes monitor button. Give them a clean with a spray, so they're all nice. Then we're going to go over to this switch here and give that a spray, make sure the contacts are nice and clean, and also with this switch here, get in there with the spray and give the copper contacts a nice spray there. Now the aim of this chip here, well, the aim is that this chip to keep cool as possible with this great big heatsink. What I found with mine is that you could, if you wanted to, put some re-thermal paste. It's, take it away, give it a good clean and put some thermal paste. Would be a bit awkward and that, and probably not worth doing if it's all working nicely. So all I've done here is actually tighten up these 2 screws here that hold the chip onto the heatsink, and I did find about a quarter of a turn they went. I wouldn't over tighten them, don't go mad, but just you'll feel it just so they get tight and stop. They're probably a bit loose on yarn, they were with mine. Yeah, so them 2 nuts are tight. There's this bolt here also worth making sure that's nice and tight, because that holds the heatsink to the chassis as well. Make sure that's while it's there, you've got it open, you might as well do that, there's no harm. Now we're going to undo the bottom plate, which is all these screws here come undone, so undo every single one of those, and the back plate will come off. Alright, once we've got the back plate on, we're just going to do a quick inspection around the board to see if there's any dry joints anywhere on the board. Especially around near the chip itself, near the sound amplifier chip itself. We're just going to check there because that will get a bit warm and any of them contacts could crack or become a dry joint, so I'll just check all those. They seem fine. I found a little bit of solder here, as you can see in the middle there. Just I don't think it was shortened across, but I just got rid of it to make sure. Now we're going to tighten these screws here just to make sure that chip's held in place again. Just don't over tighten them, just slightly tighten them up a bit. And a little bit of dust in the transformer here, as you can see a cobweb or something's got there, so just a bit of dust in there. Now along here you can see that I've got corrosion to a speaker terminal. It's speaker set A, and it's the negative of speaker there, has got a bit of corrosion, so I took that screw out and also that washer and give it a clean and replace the screw. So we've got a nice connection there rather than it start corroding and maybe spreading around the board. So worth keeping an eye on that. And also I went along all these speaker terminals, all of them, and every single screw on both of these models here, I've got the 331 are loose, and some of them are quite loose, so tighten them screws up. Like I say, don't over tighten them, you'll feel it getting tight, and just stop when you think it's tight enough, just don't go mad. So there's all them screws nice and tight. And that's that then really. Like I say, there's not much else you can do there really, but you've kept it all nice and clean. You've cleaned it up, checked for any solder joints, made sure all the screws are nice and tight. Now we've got the back plate we took off, the bottom plate should I say we took off. Just give that, as you can see, it's quite dirty, just give that a dust and a clean. I didn't go mad. That's the plate done. and I'm going to put it all back together, which you join me back now, and that's it all back together. What I will say, a few little tips maybe just to prolong the life of that chip, because it does get quite warm on higher volumes, is maybe just have, even though it accepts 2 sets of speakers, just have one connected 8 ohms rather than having 2 8 ohms going. Could overpower it, especially if you haven't got efficient speakers. I'd recommend 90 decibels or more the efficiency of the speakers, even though I use a pair of Wolfdale and they're 88 I think. I don't have it too loud. I only have it about halfway max, and that's in a fairly big room and it's still loud enough, so I won't overrun it. What I would say though is when you turn it on and off, from speaker A to off, always have the volume on 0, or if you did have another set of speakers, you're going to run one then the other independently. As you're flicking through, I'll turn the volume down to 0, then flick through to the next set, because this switch could arc over. It's just going to save any sudden spikes going to that chip or interfering with that chip, just to prolong the life of it, because they're quite expensive. Like I say, they're about $30, £30, £25, something like that, if you can find one. These chips are getting harder and harder to find. So, and also then you've got to get someone to fit it for you, so you're probably looking at £100 fitted, and you could probably go and get another receiver for that. So really, to keep the receiver, especially if you've got a nice one with a nice front and a nice top as well, you don't want to go around getting other receivers. But I suppose you could take the top and this panel off, I suppose, but anyway, try and keep the one you've got, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, just look after it, not too high volume, don't overpower it. Just bear in mind with that chip, they can be a little bit like easier to blow than maybe a normal transistor, and they're a lot harder to find and replace. So there you go, that's a little few bits and pieces. The main thing there probably was the speaker terminals being maybe 1 or 2 maybe corroded underneath, and to make sure they're nice and tight, obviously going to give you a better contact as well, and maybe improve the sound a little as well. I don't know, that's debatable, but it's definitely going to stop them wiggling about everywhere. And even if you look to that circuit, you can see that the speaker actual screws are quite close to the ground. Even on the positive, there's not much gap between. So if they start getting too loose and shooting across to the ground, you may be in a spot of bother and maybe blow that chip. So definitely worth making sure them speaker terminals are nice and tight. So that's it really. I thank you for watching. I'll sort out another video soon and get that up and running. And until then, I'll say see you later.